Tēnā tātou katoa, ko hui mai nei tātou ki roti tēnei āhurutanga o te whare i tēnei pō. Kei waho rā, ko te wā o te hōtoke, ko te wā o hene takurua, tino makariri kei waho, nō reira, māhana ki roto, ki o rātou tīnana, ki o koutou ngākau. E mihi ana ki te kaupapa o te pō nei. Ko te kaupapa o te pō nei ko ngā tauira i roti o rātou rangahau. E mihi ana ki tā tātu nei rangatiro o te kai whakahaere o tēnei kaupapa, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Research, Professor Gary Wilson, huri nō ki ngā kai whakahaere e tautoko ana ki aia, ki a rātou mā ngā kai whakawā, me te kai taima, huri nō ki a koutou, o koutou waka, whānau, hapau iwi, kua taimai nei tēnā koutou. E mihi ana ki a rātou mā, ko ngā kai kōrero, whakarongo mai, mā takitaki mai, tino wera o rātou mahunga, wiri o rātou ringa, wiri o rātou waiwai, nō reira e mihi kaha ki a rātou moa. Nō reira, ko hui mai tātou, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you, Whatu. Good evening and welcome to the University of Waikato's 2026 Three-Minute Thesis Doctoral Finals. To everyone here in the Dr. John Gallagher concert chamber, as well as to everyone joining us from everywhere, Aurora, globally, online, it is very good to have you here and to share the evening with us. My name is Fred Lemke. I am Professor of Marketing and Sustainability, and I'm the Associate Dean of Research at Waikato Management School. And today, I'm really happy to serve as your MC. Now, a doctoral thesis takes several years to complete. It takes several pages that needs to be written, hundreds of them, actually. But today, the contestants only have 3 minutes and 1 slide. And trust me, being a professor, I can tell you that when you face that, when you give that chance or the opportunity to an academic, they need 3 minutes to explain what they're about to explain. And it's seriously a demanding call. So it's quite challenging, and that really makes the 3MT event so demanding. Now it takes researchers to make careful choices, what to present, what is important here, how to communicate it to a non-specialist so that everyone is able to understand what we actually have done. It's something that gets so easily forgotten, yet that is quite the challenge that our contestants have to face. Now, this is the 16th year of the competition at Waikato, and tonight we will hear from health, engineering, the arts, science, psychology and social science, and population research. Now, at Waikato, we ask research to be rigorous, relevant, and also be able to reach the audience way beyond the university. And so this evening gives that ambition the human voice. I should offer you one warning though. You will learn more about parasports, protein insulation, viral courtship, AI companion, bacteria enzymes, and 3D printing metal. Now that means you will leave this event knowing more than what you knew before you came. And coming from a management school, being specialized in marketing, It sounds to me like that is very good value for one evening. It's now my pleasure to introduce Professor Gary Wilson, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Research at the University of Waikato. Gary represents the university's research leadership and will formally welcome us to this evening's competition. Gary, tēnā koe.
Kia ora koutou katoa. I should acknowledge, before I do offer some more words of welcome, normally this would be Emma Nicholson, who's the Dean of our School of Graduate Research, but she is unwell. I had a phone call from her this morning. She's lost her voice, she has bronchitis. It's a good thing she's not here with all of us. But I want to acknowledge that she and her team in the School of Graduate Research have put a lot of effort into helping make this event happen, so wanted to do that up front. I also want to acknowledge our finalists. We are here to celebrate our doctoral researchers. We often say they are the engine of our research machine here at the University of Waikato. We don't just say it, we mean it. They really are. And I really acknowledge that they've taken on this challenge of being able to explain to all of us why their research is important, valuable, and will transcend just their thesis and will go further. So as Fred said, 3 minutes, 1 slide. Interestingly, for those who don't know it, the 3-minute thesis competition has its roots at the University of Queensland. And it came out of a time when they were in severe drought, and the people of Queensland really understood what a 3-minute shower was. And they had buckets at the bottom of the shower, so they caught the water in those 3 minutes to go and water the plants, and they really started to understand how short 3 minutes is. And so out of that, the Dean of Graduate Studies at the University of Queensland put 2 and 2 together and said, well, actually, we should be able to explain our research in that same length of time. And so the 3-minute thesis competition was born. And we are, at the University of Waikato, long participants in the process, and we really enjoy this evening. So, as Fred said, you're going to see and hear from our contestants across a wide range of disciplines. They're all tackling real problems. They're all finding new ways of doing things. But actually tonight, more than that, you'll see our researchers grow in their ability to connect with their audiences and get their ideas across in an accessible way, even when the concepts are really rather complicated. So those are skills that they will take long beyond their time at the University of Waikato. So that's what we're here to see. I will finish with saying to all of our contestants, good luck, kia kaha. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Before our finalists begin, let us meet the 3 people responsible for tonight's most difficult decisions. It's our judges there. We have Erin Wansborough. She has more than 20 years of senior leadership experience across science, innovation, strategy, commercialization, and governance. She serves on the University of Waikato Council and the KiwiNet Investment Committee, and brings practical knowledge of translating complex ideas into clear, compelling stories for audiences beyond a specialized field. Holly Snape is Chief Executive and Community Waikato and a University of Waikato alumna. Her experience is community development, governance and capacity building It gives her a very strong appreciation of communication that is accessible, engaging, and useful across diverse communities. Dr. Nathan Rue. He is a Papua New Guinean and Pakeha lecturer and researcher at Te Pua Wanaga Ki Te Ao, so the Faculty of Maori and Indigenous Research. Drawing on philosophy and critical theory, his research addresses white supremacy in the Pacific, anti-blackness, West Papua, indigenous relationships to water, and the struggle for a renewed Oceania. Aaron, Holly, and Nathan, thank you that you accepted the responsibility and to be with us today. Now, please give our judging panel a warm welcome. Our timekeeper is Tommy Meyer from the School of Graduate Research, and he will most probably be the one that gets the most focused attention from our contestants. And why is that? Well, each finalist will see a countdown timer on Tommy's tablet. When 30 minutes remain, Tommy will show them the orange card, and that will leave half a minute. And when that half a minute is over, so 3 minutes are over, the contestants have to stop. And if they don't stop, they risk being eliminated. And that is just another way of saying that the clock, unlike a supervisor, won't grant any extension. It's a fairly hard stop, right? So the judges, well, they will look particularly at two areas. First, engagement and communication. Was the presentation clear? Do we understand everything? Are we curious to find out more? So it's that sort of level that is so important. Secondly, comprehension and content. Do we understand the research, the significance, and also the wider impact? Two areas to look at, yet we have 3 prizes. There's the runners-up. The runners-up will receive $500. The overall winner will receive $1,000, the Professor John D. McCraw Memorial Trophy, and the honor of presenting the University of Waikato at the 2026 Virtual Asia Pacific 3MT competition, and that is hosted by the University of Queensland. The third prize is decided by you. It's a vote by the audience. And this is the People's Choice Award. And the recipient will receive $500. Now, a QR code will be displayed on the screen, and so everyone with a mobile phone can then record the voice. Also online, you can also cast your vote there. There's that QR code shown. If you don't have a mobile phone, if QR codes give challenges in any shape or form, you can also cast your vote manually with Tommy. He will then be at the bar outside of the auditorium, but again, that will be during the break. Also, some housekeeping notes here. Please keep mobile phones silent and avoid moving around during the presentation. Now, each speaker, as you mentioned so often, has only 3 minutes, and there is no time in the program for a guest appearance by a ringtone or something. So if you haven't done so already, that's the moment for you to turn off the phone or make it silent. So we have 10 finalists, 3 minutes, 1 slide each, years of work behind every word. So let's start, shall we? We are ready. I have to say, I'm so excited. Let's get it going. So, our first finalist is Bronwyn Corrigan from Te Whananga Waiora Division of Health. Her presentation is titled Women in Power Sports, intersectional experiences in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Bronwyn, the stage is yours.
Take a look at the women pictured behind me. Who are they? Incredible athletes, of course, and you may recognize them. Sophie Pascoe, Anna Grimaldi, Sarah James, Lisa Adams, and you might know about their athletic achievements. But beyond the medals and the headlines, what do we really know about their experiences? The answer is surprisingly little. Research hasn't paid much attention to the structural barriers women face in parasport. And if this slide were to instead show women parasport coaches, support staff, or leaders, that silence in the research would be even louder. We know sport is shaped by gendered inequality, but what happens when we also consider how it's shaped by ableism? My research examines the opportunities and constraints women face in parasport in Aotearoa, New Zealand as athletes, coaches, and leaders. Specifically, I examine how gender and ableism intersect to shape women's experiences of health, well-being, and performance. We cannot simply take research done on non-disabled athletes and coaches and apply it to parasport. Doing so would disregard the very real systemic inequities that have shaped women's access to and representation within parasport. Women are more likely to experience disability, yet they remain underrepresented in the Paralympic movement. There are more women coaches in parasport than in non-disabled sport, yet they're overly represented in lower status coaching roles, while men continue to dominate roles that hold more authority and are at the elite levels. Why? Because women in parasport often face barriers across multiple fronts. Their opportunities are shaped not only by gendered inequality, but also by ableist systems that influence who is supported, who is visible, and whose contributions are valued. This research examines a highly complex and unique sporting environment by interviewing and listening to the voices of women coaches, athletes, and leaders across the country. By identifying how gender and ableism intersect to shape women's experiences, I anticipate this research can help inform policies, practices, and pathways that can help make parasport a more equitable place. But perhaps most importantly, it creates space for women to tell their own stories, recognizing their knowledge, leadership, and contributions that strengthen and sustain the parasport community. So let's return to the women pictured behind me. We know them as Paralympians and para-athletes, and we celebrate their achievements. But my research asks us to see something else: the systems that shape their opportunities, their well-being, and their success. My research asks us to see beyond the medals and the headlines, and finally listen to the women shaping the future of parasport. Thank you.
I have to say you have done it so well. When there's the music, that is exactly the time when you should get to know your neighbor, and then you can talk. There you can also move, and when the music stops, then that's a moment when, again, you give your full consideration, full attention to the presentation. So I didn't even have to say anything, it's simply happened by magic. Now, we move from the sporting environment to the built environment. And our next finalist is Akhila Mathew from Te Kura Mātuatua School of Engineering. Her presentation is titled, "Could proteins make buildings fire safe and insulated?" Akhila, over to you.
It has been pretty cold last week, right? Many of us have turned on the heater more than once and wait for the house to warm up. But have you ever wondered why some houses stay warm while others don't? The difference is often not the heater. It's how well the building can retain heat. And the answer is hidden inside the walls. That's where insulation comes in. Buildings lose a significant amount of heat through their roofs and walls. Insulation helps slow that heat loss. Many of the buildings in New Zealand rely on insulation materials that cause significant environmental impacts during production. Some of them are derived from non-renewable resources. Hence, developing a sustainable insulation remains a challenge. That's where my research comes in. I use cellulose fibers from wood, a renewable natural material, to create lightweight porous foams. Inside the foams, fibers form a network structure that traps air. Since still air is a poor conductor of heat, it slows heat transfer and helps keep heat inside the buildings. However, cellulose poses a challenge. It's not fire safe. It can burn. As New Zealand works to strengthen fire safety requirements for buildings, there is a growing demand for insulation materials that are both sustainable and fire safe. Also, recent events have shown the importance of fire safety in New Zealand buildings. So I turned to an unexpected solution: proteins. When we hear the word protein, we usually think about food. Some of us may also know about the protein keratin, which is used in hair treatments. In my research, proteins do a completely different job. Instead of helping building muscles or protecting hair, they help protect buildings. When proteins are exposed to fire, they promote the formation of a protective char layer. Think of this char as a barrier. Rather than allowing the fire to spread quickly, it helps slow the fire and help protect the buildings. My research has shown that proteins can be successfully combined with cellulose fibers to create lightweight insulation foams. And now I'm investigating how different protein formulations can improve the fire resistance. Overall, by incorporating proteins with cellulose fibers, my research aims to develop thermal insulation and fire-safe foams. So next time, when you enjoy a warm home on a cold morning, remember that the insulation of the future could come from wood fibers and even proteins. Thank you.
Our third finalist is Gisela de Castro from Te Kura Toi School of Arts. Her presentation is titled A Flight Over Aotearoa, New Zealand, AFOA NZ, a digital book based on children's letters about the places. Please welcome Gisela de Castro.
Kia ora koutou. You might remember that during the pandemic, many places were under strict lockdowns. In Rio de Janeiro, my home city, it was severe for months. I was doing my master's in creative media, online, and wondering, how can children access books without schools or libraries? What about children who don't have books at home? So I created an accessible video book about Brazilian cities. For my PhD, I considered a digital book that would make sense in Aotearoa, New Zealand. What materials were available? Were the children still writing letters? Letters about their places in a bird's eye view of the country. That's how the project was born, a flight over Aotearoa, New Zealand, or AFOA.NZ. I was curious to know how children perceive this country and how to let them say, Kia ora, I'm here, by putting themselves on the map. I emailed schools across the country, inviting students to write letters answering one simple question. What would you say to your region if it were a person? 4 schools and independent families have participated. 70 amazing letters were collected and transformed into 22 animated videos. My team and I have created an effective map of Aotearoa. Not an ordinary map, but an interactive one that blends geography, literature, design, and storytelling. The project is innovative by offering new ways of reading. Children don't just read the letters, they audio-visualize them. Now, anyone from anywhere can click on a region and watch an animated letter for free. It's about democratizing and expanding electronic literature. This digital book, as a website, is my PhD artistic outcome, and the results are impressive. Children demonstrate strong environmental awareness and talk about social justice and urban challenges. Oh, if Kiwi children were city planners, the world could be a better place. They love it, writing for pleasure and reading for fun. I hope you are truly curious now and explore afoa.nz by yourselves. Ngā mihi nui.
Our fourth finalist this evening is Lucy Southwell-Hambly from Te Aka Mātuatua School of Science. Her presentation is titled Climate Change and the Sex Life of Weevils. And I have to say the title has already done one important job. It has our attention. Lucy, take it from here.
We all know that good communication and great chemistry leads to good sex. And this doesn't just apply to us humans. This applies across the animal kingdom, even down to the smallest animals, insects. And insects have a cool way of communicating. They use these chemical compounds that cover their surface that allows them to communicate information to other insects, such as their sex, their size, their health and fertility. And this allows the other insect to decide whether they're a good mate. And these compounds serve another function. Because they're waxy, they provide desiccation resistance. They prevent water from exiting and entering the insect's body. And so in this way, we can think of these compounds as a dual function trait. The communication side of things adapts to the social and sexual environment, and the desiccation resistance adapts to the changing climate, such as increasing temperature and humidity. And, as I'm sure we all know, the climate is changing. In New Zealand, temperatures and humidity are rising. And while we know that climate change has an effect on some animals' behaviours, people don't seem to like bugs quite as much as I do, and so there's a lot of gaps in the research about how climate change will specifically impact insects. So, enter me and my study species, the New Zealand giraffe weevil. This is a native beetle to New Zealand and a Tonga species to many iwi. And as you can see, they're sexually dimorphic. That is, the males and females look very different from one another. And they have huge size variation within this single species. The males can be up to 10 times the size of the smallest males. This is like if human men could grow up to 15 meters tall. And these beetles have really fascinating sex lives and sexual behaviors. The males like to fight each other by flinging each other off the tree with their long noses in order to compete for access to females. And the smallest males have another trick where they'll sneak up beside a female and evade detection from the larger males. And so studying this species, I've already determined differences between the male and female compounds. And I want to conduct further behavioural assays and temperature experiments to determine whether changes to these compounds from increasing temperature translates into a communication issue for these insects, whether this changes their ability to identify mates and competition. And so I want to see how climate change impacts not just the sexual behaviours of these beautiful native weevils here for New Zealand, but the potential impacts that it might have on populations of insects worldwide. Thank you.
Continuing our program tonight, our next finalist is Kean Sian from Te Kura Whatu o Mauri, School of Psychological and Social Science. His presentation is titled Artificial Intelligence, AI, and Psychology, a subject on which the machines may already have their very own views. Kean, let's hear it.
When was the last time you were going through something in life and you just wanted somebody to talk to? Maybe you had a bad day. Maybe you just lost someone you love. Maybe it's your PhD scholarship application got rejected. And at that moment, how many of you have somebody there, somebody to listen to you without judging you, without rushing to fix your emotion, just allowing you to experience what you have? My guess is not many, because millions of people around the world, teenagers, young adults, and elderly, are turning to AI chatbot for emotional support and companion. But it raises so many questions. How safe are these AI? How capable are they? And who is using them the most? And what are the consequences? All these are the questions I built my PhD around. In my first study, I compared different AI models to see how well they can reason like a clinical psychologist. What I found is they are good at reflecting your emotions back at you, but they struggle to understand you deeply. They also have the tendency to overly validate you. In my second study, I look at what type of AI users are out there. And what I found, people use AI for emotional reasons struggle more than people who use it for functional purpose. And when you put these two findings together, there's a problem. Imagine you reach out to AI when you're feeling low. The AI agrees with you, validate everything that you say to the AI. And naturally, you feel better, so you do it again. And through repetition and gradually, we can become emotionally dependent on AI, thinking that only AI believes in you and understands you. But the real danger is here. AI can seem to listen really well, but it isn't built to care about you, isn't to care about your growth. And this is what my final part of my PhD is all about, to improve on existing AI. So when the next time you're going through something in your life and you decided to talk to an AI, hopefully it will be the type of AI, not just only sit with you in the dark, but also listen to you, help you to reach out to the people that really cares about you, and help you to find your own way back to be the person that you want to become. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Jolene Jones from Te Whananga Waiora Division of Health. Her presentation is titled, "Too Sick for a Ward, Too Well for Intensive Care, Filling the Gap." Welcome, Jolene Jones.
If I asked you when something is most likely to go wrong with surgery, you would probably say during the actual operation, but you'd be wrong. Surgery itself has become remarkably safe, so the riskiest period is actually after you wake up. Your body has been through a big stress, and sometimes it struggles. Blood pressures drop, heart rhythms change. Untreated, these could lead to complications, and sometimes to death. To manage this risk, we monitor everyone after surgery. Most patients need a little monitoring and no advanced treatments. They go to a ward. A small number need a lot. They go to intensive care. But for a growing group of patients, neither option fits. Some patients are more at risk of deterioration because of their surgery, their health, or both. So, where should they go? We can't send them to intensive care. Those beds are limited, expensive, and reserved for the very sickest. And this group doesn't need that intensity. But they shouldn't go to a ward either. We know they're at risk, and a ward can't monitor close enough to catch problems early or provide the advanced treatments they may end up needing. This matters, because if you can see a problem but can't fix it, you're not helping your patient. You're just documenting a deterioration. We can transfer patients to intensive care if they deteriorate, but that takes time. And research shows by the time they get there, it's often too late. Problems have gotten worse. My research explores a new hospital unit called Enhanced Care, built exactly for this gap. It monitors closely, but critically, it can act. If someone's blood pressure drops, we can give a medication that previously could only be given in intensive care. When they stabilise, they carry on to a ward. It's dynamic, providing what patients need when they need it. My early results show that high-risk patients are regularly sent to surgical wards. So what I'm doing now is identifying which of these patients would recover better in enhanced care. To do this, I'm analysing hundreds of thousands of surgical records to see which patients develop fewer complications in enhanced care. And I'm interviewing surgeons, anaesthetists, and nurses about who they think should go here. Together, these results will help clinicians make safer decisions and build a health system that meets our people's needs. Because if we know who should go where after surgery, more patients get the right care, more patients recover well, more lives are saved, and that is absolutely worth figuring out. Thank you.
Our next presenter this evening is Starsha from Te Aka Mātuatua School of Science. Her presentation is titled Hi Tohu, Traces of the Unseen World. Starsha, the stage is yours.
In the Māori creation pūrākau, Tāne journeyed to the heavens to fetch 3 baskets of knowledge for humankind. A reminder that understanding comes not from one source, but from many. What if understanding an ecosystem also requires more than one basket, or in my case, more than one sample type? I realised this while standing in a stream collecting samples, when a tuna, an eel, emerged behind a log and gently tapped my gumboot. There could be many interpretations to this interaction. One may say, the tuna thought they scored a mean feed. Another may say, the tuna wanted to be the star of the show in my Excel spreadsheet. But to me, it felt like a tohu, a sign I was on the right track, a kaitiaki, a guardian reminding me there's more life here than we can immediately see. Scientists are increasingly using environmental DNA, a powerful tool that captures tiny traces of DNA that organisms leave behind as they pass through the environment. We can trap the DNA from the environmental sample by passing it through a filter, then extracting and sequencing it to obtain a snapshot of local biodiversity, all without needing to physically see the species themselves. But here's the thing. Most projects rely on just one sample type, water. And that's a problem, because ecosystems don't exist in silos. So in my PhD, I'm asking, if we're only drawing from one environmental basket, what ecological insights might we be missing? To answer this question, I'm bringing together 3 environmental DNA methods. First, water, nature's lifeblood. Second, insects, nature's workaholics. And third, air, nature's breath of life. Together, these approaches might offer a more complete picture of ecosystem biodiversity. And the results are promising. I have found that using multiple environmental substrates does indeed detect more species, with clear distinctions in the biodiversity recovered between land and water-based sample types. This shows us we can uncover far more knowledge from our 3 baskets than any single method alone. As climate change reshapes our world, understanding our environment has never been more important, but these challenges are far too complex for one basket alone. By drawing upon many knowledge sources, we'll be able to get a more holistic understanding, and that holistic understanding will pave a way to better protect the species and the places that make Aotearoa New Zealand home. So, the next time you're standing in the stream, gumboots on, and nature gives you a little nudge, take a moment. Nature is speaking. We just have to remember to tune in. Thank you.
Our next finalist is Mohammad Omer from Te Kura Mātuatua School of Engineering. His presentation is titled 3D Printed Metals, Heat Clues to Fatigue Failure. Mohammad, over to you.
My son loves experimenting in the kitchen. Noodles in pizza dough, total disaster. But a pinch of salt in muffin batter, pure magic. But here is the thing. We always know immediately. One bite and we know. Keep it or toss it. Now imagine you are an engineer, not a chef. Instead of inventing new recipes with flour and eggs, you are inventing new recipes for metals. Metal 3D printing works exactly like that. Change raw material or adjust machine settings, and you created a new metal, lighter, stronger, or more heat resistant. Today, 3D printed metal parts are used everywhere: jet engines, rocket motors, and medical implants. But there is a problem, a serious one. Before using those parts, engineers need to know one critical thing. Will they break? Or more specifically, will the repeated loading cause tiny cracks to expand, and the part suddenly fails? This is called fatigue failure, and it is the most common cause of mechanical failure. Traditionally, to find the fatigue performance of a metal, specimens are loaded and unloaded for millions and millions of times until they break. Weeks, often months, to get the results. So while chefs can taste a recipe in seconds, engineers are stuck waiting. My research changes that. We created a method to test any metal within 1 hour. Here is how. We put the specimen under cyclic loading while a super-sensitive thermal camera watches it. You remember from your school lessons, when we compress a gas, it heats up? It is also true for the metals. Load them, tiny warming. Expand them, tiny cooling. At low load levels, it is balanced out. Warm, cool, nothing changes. But push beyond a critical threshold, something changes. Extra heat starts appearing. This is the onset of fatigue damage. Using my method, we can find the point of fatigue onset of any metal within 1 hour. 1 hour, not months. Today, the bottleneck is not creating new metals. It is understanding them fast enough to use them safely. My research closes that gap. It means new metals can reach airplanes and hospitals faster and more safely. My son can perfect a muffin recipe in an afternoon, and my research gives engineers the same superpower for their metal recipes. Thank you.
Our ninth finalist is Pathmini Madushani from Te Aka Mātuatua School of Science. Her presentation is titled Development of Bacterial DNA Ligase Inhibitors Against Neisseria gonorrhoeae Bacterial Infections. And I have to look twice. Please welcome Pathmini Madushani.
We usually expect antibiotics to cure infections. But what happens when an infection learns how to survive them? Every time we try to stop it, but it can change, adapt, and keep going. That infection is gonorrhea. You may have heard of it. Many people know the name, but not everyone knows why it is becoming so worrying. Gonorrhea can infect the reproductive tract, throat, and rectum. In many people, it can stay silent with no clear symptoms. But silent does not mean harmless. If gonorrhea is not treated properly, it can cause serious reproductive health problems like infertility and a high risk of HIV infection. Today, this is not a small problem. The World Health Organization estimates that more than 82 million new gonorrhea infections occur globally each year among adults. For many years, antibiotics kept gonorrhea under control. But now, the bacteria are fighting back. Some types can survive several antibiotics, making once reliable treatments less effective. So, gonorrhea is becoming harder and harder to treat. There is no specific vaccine for it. Clearly, we need a new way to fight back. By targeting something, the bacteria need to survive. That's where my research comes in. Rather than fighting in the same old way, my research goes inside the bacteria and target one of its survival tools. That tool is DNA ligase. You can think of DNA ligase as the bacterium's mechanic. Just as a mechanic repairs a damaged car, so it can keep running. DNA ligase repairs its damaged DNA so the bacteria can survive. My research aims to stop this mechanic from doing its job. First, I design and make new compounds that may be able to block this target. Second, I test whether this compound can stop this bacteria from growing. If we block the DNA ligase, the bacteria may lose its ability to repair its DNA properly. And without repair, it becomes much harder for the bacterium to survive and continue causing infection. My long-term goal is to help develop new treatment options for antibiotic-resistant gonorrhea. This research may begin with small molecule in the lab, but it could lead to something much bigger, a future where gonorrhea is no longer a serious threat. Thank you.
Our final researcher for this evening is Fransiska Moko from Te Nura, Institute for Population Research. Her presentation is titled, When a Marriage Ends, the Story Doesn't. Women's Hidden Struggles in Indonesia. Fransiska, take it from here.
We all know someone whose life changed after divorce or losing a partner. But in Indonesia, this change often takes a hidden path. When we think about the consequences of a marriage ending, particularly for a woman, most of us immediately think about money. Will she have enough income? Will she be able to provide for herself and her family? But what if the first struggles are not financial? My research examines what happens to Indonesian women after a marriage ends. Using 17 years of data from the Indonesia Family Life Survey, I followed the same women over time to track how their social and economic well-being changed after marital dissolution. What I found was unexpected. If you look at the timeline behind me, you'll see that the consequences do not appear all at once. And the first consequence was not economic deprivation. It was social exclusion. Many women became less involved in community activities and increasingly disconnected from the networks that provide support and belonging. Economic deprivation followed a different timeline. It often emerged later and became more visible over time. So, why does this matter? For years, most research has focused on the financial consequences of marital dissolution. My findings suggest we may be looking too late. By the time financial hardship becomes obvious, many women may already have been struggling with social exclusion for years. This suggests that supporting women after marital dissolution is not only about financial assistance, it is also about helping women remain connected to the communities and relationships that support them before economic hardship takes hold. Because when a marriage ends, the story doesn't end there. For many women, the first loss is not economic, it is social. And if we want to prevent later hardship, we need to recognize those hidden struggles before they become impossible to ignore. Thank you.
Thank you, Fransiska. Could I please ask all finalists to return to the stage so we can acknowledge them with a well-deserved round of applause, please. So, here they are. In less than an hour, they've taken us through sports, fire safety, children reading, insect chemistry, AI, post-operative care, biodiversity, advanced manufacturing, antibiotic resistance, and social inequalities. 10 researchers, 10 subjects, only one slide each. Academics everywhere, please note. Well done. We will now take a very short break, well, short, to have time for refreshments. They are all available in the players foyer and the cash bar is open. The People's Choice QR code will be shown on screen shortly, and the voting closes at 8:10. Please choose the presentation you found most engaging, most effective. Some presentation that spoke to you, resonated with you. If you feel, oh, that's the one, well, that is possibly the one. So please vote for that particular presentation. For a manual vote, Tommy will be outside near the bar. But before we leave, I would say let's give the judges a chance to leave first, to sneak out there so that they can then do their job before we leave. Now, when the judges consider their decisions, then we can have some refreshments there. And please return to the concert chamber at 8:20. We will resume at 8:25. And until then, enjoy the break. right, welcome back. I hope the refreshments help with your choice. The judges completed their work, and I have to say it was quite difficult. I mean, we have all seen them, right? I mean, 10 excellent presentations. And this comes all down to 3 envelopes, white envelopes, which feels almost unfair because they are really great presentations, I have to say. But that's how it goes. So, before we move to the awards, I would like to invite Dr. Nathan Rue to provide some reflections on tonight's presentations. Nathan?
Kia ora koutou. Just amazing work on behalf of the candidates. As someone who only relatively recently finished my own doctoral thesis some 3 or 4 years ago, it is just such an immense amount of work and time and energy and frustration that I know goes into this work and these presentations. We were really, really taken aback by the quality and caliber of the conversations and the talks that were given. I think it's a real testament to the research future of this university, to your research futures, and to the work that you are doing. It is important and valuable work. Fairly often in the PhD, you don't get that. You don't get a well done. You've done amazing work. And I wanted to offer that to you now. We can tell that we're all at different journeys through the thesis, and it's really cool to see the kind of rising and the getting ready to write and submit. You've done your supervisors really proud, and I'm sure they're, if not, give you a couple of days, to take a bit of a rest from your work. I think you deserved it, you've earned it. Just amazing work, well done. It was really hard to pick the winner. And I think overall, it just speaks to our strength and our future as a university, our research capacity, and I think all that we have to offer as a university going forward. So well done. I think they deserve a round of applause again for their amazing work.
Thank you, Nathan. Very thoughtful reflections indeed. Now, tonight's finalists have shown us both the strength of the research and their ability to make complex ideas very clear. And we will now move on to the 2026 3-minute Thesis Awards. We're going to start with the People's Choice Award. Now, for this award, I would like to invite Holly Snape to join me. The People's Choice Award is determined entirely by the audience vote and reflects the presentation that most resonate with the audience tonight. The recipient of the 2026 People's Choice Award, receiving a cash prize of $500, is, and I think it deserves a drum roll. Let's move the fingers on the knees, yeah? All right. Let me just go there. It is Fransiska Moko from the Ghana Institute of Population Research. All right, so let's move on to the next award. It's the Runners-Up Award. And for this, I would like to invite Erin Wansborough to present the Runners-Up Award. The Runners-Up Award recognizes a finalist whose presentation demonstrated exceptional engagement, communication, and research impact. The runners-up of the 2026 University of Waikato 3-minute thesis doctoral final, receiving $500. And let's have a drum roll again, please. Muhammad Omer from Te Kura Mātuatua School of Engineering. Now we move on to the overall winner, but before we do that, I would like to talk a little bit about the Professor John D. McCraw Memorial Trophy, which you see there. First presented in 2017, the trophy honors Professor John McCraw, MBE, the founding professor of Earth Science at the University of Waikato. Professor McCraw had a lifelong interest in communicating knowledge to the widest possible audience. He also strongly supported graduate students in developing their oral communication skills. The trophy is a tiki vananga carved and donated by Virumi Puke of Ngati Vai Riri and Ngati Puro. Virumo created it on behalf of Professor McCraw's son, David, his daughter, Jill, and John's many friends and colleagues. In the ancient Mauri world, tiki vananga were used by the equivalent of professors when teaching and communicating complex ideas within a vara vananga. Virimo is unable to be with us this evening. He has been with us for the past years, for every year, and he would have loved to be here. And so we acknowledge him warmly as the carver and donor of this trophy and thank him for the skill, generosity, and meaning he has given to this award. The trophy recognizes outstanding skill in presenting doctoral research to an audience. It is therefore a fitting award for a competition that asks researchers to make complex ideas very clear. We now come to the overall winner. For this, I would like to invite Dr. Nathan Rue to me here for the presentation of the overall award. The winner will receive $1,000, the Professor John D. McCraw Memorial Trophy, and will represent the University of Waikato at the 2026 Asia-Pacific Virtual 3-Minute Thesis Competition. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 2026 University of Waikato 3-Minute Thesis Doctoral Final is, and this is where the drum kicks in, Jolene Jones. What an outstanding evening it has been. The 3MT asks researchers to choose what is essential, explain it very plainly so that we can all understand it. What is the research all about? Are we curious to learn more? And tonight's speakers have shown that clarity does not weaken complex research. It gives people beyond the field a clear way of understanding it. And this is really what it's all about. And so please join me in congratulating all 10 of our finalists. I would also like to sincerely thank our judges for the time, care, and expertise they have brought to this competition. Aaron Wansborough, Holly Snape. Dr. Nathan Rue. Many thanks also go to Te Mata Karangi, the School of Graduate Research, Birimo Puke, Vetu Taukomo, our event organizers, GAPA staff, photographer Miles, and everyone who contributed to making tonight's event possible. Most importantly, thank you, our finalists. Regardless of today's results, you have shown yourself, you have shown your research, you have shown your division, your school, the university, and you have done that with distinction. So very well done indeed. Our finalists have also had the encouragement of supervisors, whānau, friends and colleagues. Thank you for the time and support you have given them. Finally, thank you to everyone here in the concert chamber and those who joined us online for sharing the evening with us. Our finalists begin with 1 slide and 3 minutes. They leave us with 10 ideas that will stay with us well beyond this evening. After the closing karakia, the winners and judges will remain for photographs. Fitu Taukomo will now lead us in the closing karakia. Fitu, tēnā koe.
Tui a i runga, tui a i raro, tui a ki roto, tui a ki waho. Tui a ki te here tangata, ka rongota pō, ka rongotea, tu turu whakamaua kia tīna team. Haume, hui e, tā e ki e. Be blessed as you return to your homes and loved ones. Good night.